Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew Hill. I'm the CEO and co-founder of LiftEd, and we're accelerating learning outcomes for students with disabilities. So about 2 years ago, I met this little guy, Xavier. He was 4 years old with autism, and he had never talked a day in his life. That's his special ed teacher, Heather, who's teaching him how to mimic rubbing his tummy, but all the while she's tracking his performance via paper and pencil. Now, Heather is delivering instruction in a one-on-one intensive setting, but special education today is absolutely evolving. There's other educators who are providing services to students in small group settings like therapy, speech, occupational, and students are expected to integrate into general education classrooms. By the time you get into upper grade levels, the expectation is you're learning job skills and getting vocational training to matriculate into society post-high school. Unfortunately, there are about 1 million educators, much like Heather in special education, who will spend upwards of 30 hours a week analyzing and reporting their students' progress against personalized learning goals. These are learning goals that are legally mandated for students with disabilities. The more time that they're spending on progress reporting and paperwork is the less on instruction. And it's one of the primary drivers why Heather and educators like her will leave the field twice as fast as their general ed counterparts. What's even more troublesome is that parents who are unhappy with their students' progress or the quality of the school services sue school districts. In fact, over 2,000 times a year. In Oakland, where we live, that school district has gotten sued worth $3 million over 3 years. Personalized education is the wave. It's the new trend. But for many years, it's been core to special education. The IEP, or the Individualized Education Plan, defines the students' learning objectives every year. It defines the services that they receive to achieve those objectives, the progress that they're making, and when they acquire or master those skills. But if you ask any special educator, an IEP is very cumbersome, and it's incredibly difficult to effectively and rigorously track progress against while you're teaching every day. So this is why we developed LiftEd, a mobile academic and behavior tracking solution for special education teachers, speech, occupational therapists, behavior specialists, and others who work with students that have a variety of disabilities, whether that be autism, a speech, or a physical impairment. We're enabling educators to deliver better instruction. Hopefully they can accelerate students' learning outcomes and provide increased transparency to school leaders and to parents. So here's how it works. On an iPad, an educator can deliver instruction and track a student's academic or functional skill progress against these personalized learning goals. In a co-taught special ed and general ed classroom setting, or even in small group instruction, you can track anecdotal notes, say about the student's progress or accommodations, modifications you're providing for them. You can track behaviors at any time, whether they be problematic, like the number of times a student has scratched you, or whether they be pro-social, like the student's ability to play appropriately with their peers. Most importantly, we're giving educators real-time insight into the students' learning trends over time, so they can use that to tailor instruction, make decisions, and improve learning outcomes. At the end of the day, what we're really doing is removing the guesswork out of progress reporting. Educators now have evidence and data to prove that these students are mastering or not mastering their learning goals, and they're being held accountable to parents and to school leaders. A little bit about the market. There are about 7 million students with disabilities. It's roughly 13% of that pre-K through 12th grade population in the US. There's over $85 billion in SPED funding that comes from federal, state, and local levels. And this is discretionary funding outside of salary appropriations used for things like technology, professional development, curriculum investments. And our model is a SaaS one. We sell, on average, about $20 per student per month. So you're looking at about $200 a year. And our contracts can range anywhere from $8,000 to over $40,000, depending on the size and volume. While our biggest competitors are really paper and pencil, Google Docs, spreadsheets, Word docs, we have mapped out our competitive landscape, and we differentiate firstly by being curriculum agnostic. So educators can use pre-existing district purchased curriculum or things that they're buying off marketplaces and individualizing for their students. They enter it into LiftEd, and we are just the vehicle for data collection and reporting. Whereas our competitors, most of them at least, focus on in-house curriculum development, which tends to cap out in quality around the 8th grade. Secondly, we're completely offline, and we're flexible enough to meet the variety of special educators in the school setting. So whether you're the paraprofessional who might be tracking a student's play on a playground where there is no Wi-Fi, or you're the most advanced behavior specialist that's using applied behavior analysis and more technical techniques, you can use LiftEd in a way that makes sense to you. Absolutely the team to solve this. Dr. Joanne Powell, Our chief data scientist has her doctorate in special education and behavior analysis from Columbia Teachers College, over 12 years of experience in the classroom, home settings, as well as in the community. Our CTO, Lai, actually started the first computer science degree in the University of Gambia in West Africa, deep passion for impact in education, and has over 20 years of software development expertise and leadership. And I have my MBA from Berkeley Haas, and I was previously a technology consultant and UX designer. I've designed tons of apps for Fortune 100 companies. I wholeheartedly believe in LiftEd, but don't just take my word for it. We ran an 8-week pilot last summer, and we had some amazing results. We were able to give educators back on average 3 hours per student per week and save 75% of time in professional development for paraprofessional staff. We're really looking at our ability to save educators time and how they reallocate that, to accelerate the rate at which students are learning, and how we can increase transparency of progress. Accomplished a lot, I think, with a pretty small core team. We launched into beta last summer with 1 school district and 1 therapy center. We scaled that up to 7, both public and charter schools, as well as a therapy center, and we're poised to hit $300,000 in annual revenue this year, scaling up to 20 districts. What's next for us? We're launching our full-scale iOS solution in September for this coming school year. We're also expanding our capabilities to support cross-platform, so be able to use this on, for example, a Chromebook, and opening up sharing capabilities for parents and school leaders. And then in the future, we do think this is a good opportunity for a data play. If we can build a robust enough data set across grade levels and disabilities, we can then provide evidence-based solutions and strategies to say, hey, your child has autism in 3rd grade, and we know these strategies work effectively, and we can open source that. We're LiftEd. We're closing our pre-seed round currently, and I'd love to talk to you more about it if you're all interested. Thank you for your time.